Hey again. So today we're going to be speaking about mindset. And mindset is something that often gets neglected by a lot of people. Many people feel like it's some kind of witchcraft or it's not important. But truth of the matter is that mostly we are kind of slaves of our own mind, especially when we believe everything it comes up with. And truthfully, I think this is a way more important topic than anything tattoo related we could ever be discussing about. But for those of you who are solely fully focused only on tattooing, I will tell you this is also going to be the strongest, most powerful tool you will ever have. It will be more powerful than any tattoo machine, any needle grouping, any ink set that you could ever have, any understanding of color theory, anything. Because mindset is the one thing that sets you on your path. It's the one thing that allows you to navigate when things aren't going the way you expect them to go. It's the one thing that gets you out of bed. It's the one thing that gets you inspired. It's also the one thing that easily can get you depressed. It's the one thing that can make you quit. It's the one thing that doesn't make you believe in yourself. It's pretty much shaping our entire reality of how we see the world. And I would love to meditate on this topic much more deeply than what we're going to do now. But as I know most of you are here for tattoo related things, I'm going to keep it as clear as possible. So all of you, even those who feel like mindset is something not important, will understand the importance of it and can actually learn to use it as a tool for yourselves going forward. Now, one simple example of how mind can be very powerful. How many of you think you would continue if you would believe there's no way, there's absolutely no single way that anything positive could happen if you would take a step in this direction of learning tattooing? Now, how many of you do you think would go down this path and put a lot of energy in it if you would think all of your wildest dreams could come true if you just set path and set a direction of learning tattooing? Now it's as simple as that. Your mindset is really the one thing that will dictate pretty much your entire life. And your mind will have a lot of suggestions, both negative and both positive. I would not recommend taking all of your mind suggestions very seriously, because your mind will come up with any kind of suggestions whenever it wants and however often it wants. For those of you who don't believe me and say it's easy and you can control your mind, if you can stay 2 minutes without a single thought arriving, then I believe you. But for most people, this is not something that they will be able to do. And for most people also, it's very often that they actually fully 100% believe in everything that their mind is coming up with. And if we take this position of believing everything that the mind comes up with, then we become full-on slaves of our own mind. But if we can get slight separation and understand our true position compared to our mind, we can become more of the masters of our own life instead of just the mind controlling every aspect of our entire existence. And for those who say you are your mind, you're not. Your mind has created an idea of yourself, which you believe in. Carries history, nationality, age, everything like this. Okay, but I believe this is not the right platform to dive very deep into this, as most of you are here in order to become the best possible versions of yourself regarding tattooing. So, how can mindset significantly influence your career and your success in tattooing? Well, first of all, emotions such as frustration, anger, disappointment, they're not going to serve you very well in your path to any kind of success. So keep in mind that these feelings are going to come up from time to time, but also understanding that they shouldn't be dictating every move you make. So in case you're feeling frustration or any other type of negative emotion, it's okay, but try avoiding to make very big life decisions when you're feeling these kinds of emotions. And during these kinds of emotions, your mind will also tell you often that the world is against you, or that you will never succeed, or whatever else it's going to tell you. And if you believe it, you will very quickly just decide to quit or do something else or not follow the path. But instead, if you can see something positive happening in the future from taking some steps, from studying, from putting in work and being excited about things, then you will probably take the steps in the right direction. And most of all, you will also be making these steps or taking these steps in a clear-minded way, where you can make rational decisions instead of decisions that are made under the influence of very strong emotions. So what can you as aspiring artist or artist who want to develop as much as you can do in order to set your mind on the right path for success? Well, there's a lot of different ways of doing this. One of the best things you could do to set yourself up for having a powerful mind helping you to achieve your goals is to actually sit silently for a while and just visualize your dreams coming true and feeling the positive emotions that these fulfilled dreams would bring you. And if you do this on a daily basis and you really focus on feeling the strong emotions that this success would bring to you, then this is going to set you up for becoming familiar with these emotions, and also your mind is going to get more and more ready for actually striving to achieve what you really want. Now, very important is to also make sure that the goal you're visualizing, that it's actually a goal you want to achieve, and not a goal you want to achieve just because you want to impress other people, or you have been brainwashed by society that you want to create something that society will accept. You should really find a goal that feels very right for you, and just visualizing it and visualizing you achieving that goal should feel very, very strongly positive. If you feel any kind of negative emotions when you're imagining succeeding or achieving your goal, then this is 100% the wrong path for you. And you should not be striving to achieve that goal. It's a false goal set by society, set by your friends, set by your school system, set by news, set by anything else, and set by your belief system. And no matter how hard you try, you will never find the true force behind to really succeed in something that's not your true goal or your true passion. So take some time and really reflect on what you want to achieve, and make sure it's really something you want to achieve and not something that society or the outside world has made you believe that you want to achieve. And that the goal that you're trying to achieve is not a false goal. It should be 100% true to you. Think of this, as most of you probably have at some point in your life ridden a bike. It took some time to get really up to riding, and you probably fell a few times. So if you fall once and you think it's a bad thing, then you're probably not going to get back up on that bike, and you will never really learn to bike. It's the same way with tattooing. You will have failures, and they're okay. And also understand that you have to go through some failures, but the more important thing is to understand why you failed and learn from it. Because if we can learn from every single failure we make, or even if we even should call them failures, but if we can learn from every single time that things don't go the way we want them to, and we can understand why they didn't go that way, we can make adjustments and we can achieve our goal much faster. Now it's also really important to really enjoy the path of achieving a certain goal. And that's definitely also one reason why you should choose your goal wisely and take the time to really make sure it's your goal, because then you will enjoy the path. You will enjoy every single moment of achieving that goal. And that's a huge thing, because it would be a very, very, very sad world if the only happiness you would get would be from this single point in time where you would achieve your goal. And everything before that and everything after that would mean nothing to you. So make sure that if you go down a road or a path, that it's truly something that sets your entire soul on fire. So growth versus fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is something where you have a image of yourself that you fully believe in, and you keep coming up with reasons why you can't change or why you can't achieve something. You have a fixated idea of where you are in life and all the restrictions that are restricting you. Truth be told, most of us do have some kind of physical restrictions in our life or something else, but I would say that up to 99% of our restrictions are only built in our mind. And as soon as we come up with a reason why we can't achieve something, we will simply quit. And so if you can understand and really reflect on how many of our obstacles are really built up in the mind, many of these obstacles will start falling down when you fully understand that they are only obstacles built up by your psychological mind, and they do not exist in reality. One of the most common things that the mind will come up with is to project from where you are now to where you want to go, and realizing that the gap is so big that you could never achieve your goal. But the thing is, it takes sometimes some time to achieve goals as well. Like, I would never have been able to imagine even teaching tattooing when I started tattooing, right? So my mind could never have projected this point in my life where I'm sitting now and teaching you, but I followed my heart. I did something that I really fully loved, and so now it took me here. I still love tattooing fully, and I also love teaching, but I did follow something that set my heart on fire. But what I'm trying to tell to you is your mind could probably never project all the good things that something can bring to your life. And it will say that something is impossible because it projects from the point you are now to where you want to go. So it's either coming up with ideas like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough know-how. Well, I could never do that because I don't have the education, or I'm living in this country, or whatever. These are ideas of the mind. These are simply obstacles built up by your mind. Yes, you might be starting from a place where it's way more difficult to achieve something, but you got to take the first step, because if you don't take the first step, you will never achieve this point in life. A growth mindset, again, is completely different from a fixed mindset. Now, I want to also stress that these are only concepts, and these are also created by the mind, but we need some kind of language to actually speak about these things. So let's call it a growth mindset for now. And in general, we would say that this is a mindset that encourages you for continuous improvement and resilience also when you're facing some obstacles. Some people are very stagnant in their life, and I actually have a lot of people in my life that sometimes I don't see them very often, but some people I see maybe every 5 years or 10 years, and the stories are exactly the same. It's kind of like going back in time. It's a very stagnant mindset. It's fine, but it's a lot of complaining and blah, blah, blah. And every story, every joke, it's exactly the same as it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago. And then I have people in my life who are constantly seemingly changing, and their entire lives are changing. So be open for continuous growth and seek it and enjoy it and embrace it, because it's amazing. It's pretty cool to be able to live every day and not know what it's going to bring, and also not reliving every day again and again and again over 20 years, but rather getting to experience completely new things every day, every minute of the day. It's absolutely amazing. And that's really what sets my soul on fire, that I do not know what tomorrow brings, but I know I'm doing something I really love, and I'm excited about every day. Some days things don't pan out exactly as I expect them to, but I've learned also to be okay with things not always going exactly as I want. And often something happens that we immediately deem as bad, but as time goes by, we realize it was actually one of the best things, because it has set some kind of fire under our butt, or it kind of changed our life for the better, but we only see it maybe 5 years later. And in that moment in time, because it doesn't go exactly as our mind projected it having to go, we deemed it as something negative or something positive, without understanding the full truth of what this situation will lead to. Now, a quick word about positive thinking. I don't want to tell all of you that you should only think positive all the time, blah, blah, blah. But I would encourage you to do it. It's way better than thinking in a negative way. Thinking in a negative way is pretty much just labeling the outside world and saying that it doesn't meet the criteria that we decided how the world's supposed to be. And as soon as it doesn't fit the model created in our mind, we deem it as bad or negative. And we try to force the world to be in a certain way instead of just accepting that this is the way things are and it might be quite okay. So I'm going to speak shortly about a few things here, but what I would like to do is give me feedback if some of you would be interested in going more deep into this subject of mindset, because I think I do have a lot to offer. In fact, I do think I have a lot more to offer than I do about tattooing, but this is not something that I'm promoting on social media or anything like that. But if there are people who are interested in looking beyond the mind, then I'm very happy to go down that route with some of you as well. So give me some feedback under this video and let me know also if there is interest for something like this. And if there is, maybe I pick a few of you to discuss some of those things. But those are not going to be anything tattoo related, those topics. They're solely going to be about really looking deep within. But let's get back to the more superficial things. So the impact of positive thinking on creativity and productivity. I think most of you know that when you're angry or frustrated, you're not going to be making the correct decisions. I don't think any person pretty much ever has made a good decision when under anger or frustration. It tends to cloud our mind very much, but overly positive thinking can do the same. In general, however, positive thinking tends to make us choose more wisely than negative thinking. what I would suggest is that you start celebrating the small wins. So whenever something happens that you feel even slightly good about, tap yourself on the back, even make a little 1 minute, 2 minute party and be really happy about it, because this teaches you and your mind actually to thank and feel positive impact when something good happens. And it will easily teach you away from worse habits as well, such as anger, frustration, or negativity. And again, when you're feeling these negative feelings, I would say try not to take strong action when you're feeling strong emotions of negativity, but rather watch it and let it pass. And after that, reevaluate the situation and make a much more rational decision. Discomfort is something that all of us face when we dive into something new. But if you understand that discomfort is related to you learning something new, you growing, you getting into the deep end of the pool, you actually changing, you actually starting to change the very life you are living, then you can start seeing it as a positive thing. Very many people stop at the first feeling of discomfort and they do not go further. And this stops any development very, very fast, or at least it slows it down. So be and learn to become comfortable with feeling discomfort. I would even go as far as say thank you when you're feeling discomfort, because it is a sign of progress. There is a place and time for comfort zone. That's a place where we can integrate something newly learned, but you should not be stuck in that feeling for too long, because if you're too comfortable for 10 years, you're pretty much going to be the person I just talked about, who lives the same day in and day out. So I'm not saying that you should go and seek for discomfort, but whenever it arises, let it be. It's completely fine. It just shows that you're probably on a path of development, or at least a path of change on how you will see the world and what you're going to be experiencing. And as I already said about chasing false goals, really avoid chasing other people's goals that have been set in your mind by other people, by society, by TV, by anything else. It's so often that people try to chase something, whether it be money or a career as a lawyer or whatever, or fancy clothes, but 99% of people are chasing things that they are not really interested in, or that doesn't set their soul on fire, but they are chasing things in order to get other people's approval. And this is not a true path. This is not something that sets your heart on fire. So really avoid chasing those kind of goals. Try to actually envision your goal and see if you feel a feeling of great happiness, positivity, and love. And if you feel these kind of emotions when you're imagining achieving a goal, then you're pretty much on the right path. And things will feel a lot easier than going down the wrong path, I promise you. And dare to ask why also, because it's so easy to say like, hey, I want $100,000. Then like, why? Why do you want $100,000? Well, I want to open my own studio. Why? Well, because it gives me freedom. What do you mean with freedom? Well, it gives me freedom to kind of travel and still have other people working in the studio, bringing in some money, and it gives me whatever. And then again, so why do you want freedom? Why do you want other people working for you? Because I want to travel. Why do you want to travel? Because it makes me feel alive. So that's your true goal there, not the first $100,000, but the actual true goal is that you want to travel. So money usually does not make us happy, but it can open doors to where we want to go. But don't go chasing money. Rather ask yourself why, and then realize what you really want to achieve, because there's possibilities of traveling even without $100,000. And especially in today's world where you can be a travel influencer or whatever. Okay, now we're assuming that most of you want to become really good tattoo artists, but still ask yourselves why, and ask yourselves if this is really the path that you want to go down. And if it is, then amazing. You're completely in the right spot, and I'm very happy to teach you. But this question why will really help ensure that you're not chasing or fully chasing a wrong goal. Because if you start chasing that first goal of the $100,000, for example, then you might end up in a situation where you're working so much, you're still getting in the money, but you have no time to actually vacation or travel because you just went down the wrong path. You understand? That's why it's important to identify the why, because then you have a clear goal. It might still mean that you will get the $100,000 when you're achieving your dream of traveling. Who knows? But if you're set up on achieving your true goal, these things will come, everything you need. So make sure your heart burns with passion for the goal you're going to start chasing. Because this really helps with maintaining motivation and drive. This is the fuel in your car. This is what gets you up every morning. This is what gets you into these lessons. This is what gets you better. So if you know now what you want to achieve, you can set some clear goals. You can set some short-term goals, some long-term goals, but don't set them in stone, but let them act as kind of like guiding stars or your GPS system in the car. So it's kind of like you don't want to jump in the car without knowing where you want to drive, right? Because if you just jump in a car and drive around, you're probably not going to end up anywhere. At least you're not going to end up where you want to go. So even if you would have a GPS system, if you don't enter the address and then follow that GPS system, you will not end up in your desired location. So we kind of have to have some kind of guidance on what path we're going to be following. Otherwise, we're just going to be like a piece of plastic in the ocean getting thrown around in each different direction without no clear path. Revisit your goals often and make sure they're aligned with what you really want to do. And revisit them also in the way that I explained earlier, that you imagine them and you feel the positive feeling that you would get if you would achieve them. And actually envision you already achieving them and feeling the positive emotion, because this aligns your entire being with achieving this goal. It aligns your mind, it allows all your energy, it aligns every action you take in order to achieve this goal. So it really, really helps. It's not just some witchcraft. Of course, if you believe it's witchcraft, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. You can skip this entire lesson fully. There's nobody forcing you to watch this at all. So it's completely your own choice, right? And as we said earlier also, the mind can simply not envision what the future could bring. So be open to adjusting your goals as you grow and evolve, because as you get further on your path, on your career, you might understand that even bigger things could be possible for you than what you could imagine 5 years ago. So be open, revisit your goals and adjust them as you feel. If you think it's impossible, it will be impossible for you. If you think it's possible, it will be possible, because it means you will start taking steps in the right direction. So it's very, very simple. You think it's impossible, it will never happen. If you think it's possible, it could happen. And don't expect instant gratification. So understand that some things take time. So be patient and be persistent. And you should not feel disappointed if things don't come to fruition immediately. It's completely okay. And that's also why you should chase the right goal, because if you're chasing the right thing, if you're going in the right direction, you're probably going to enjoy the entire path. And it's okay if things don't come to you immediately. If you're chasing the wrong thing, you're going to hate the entire path and you're going to be really sad during the entire process. So learn to love the process and learn to embrace failures and understand that they're pretty much learning opportunities. And if you have watched some of the inspiration videos, you will know that pretty much every artist says the same. Of course, it's easier to say it in hindsight. But you will also understand that pretty much everything you learned in life, many things you have learned through failure. If you burnt yourself on a hot plate or something like that, you know not to touch it again. If you went out in the cold without a jacket, you learn not to do that again. If you started tattooing before letting your stencil dry, then you probably learn not to do that again as well. So failures are learning opportunities, but it's important that we actually learn from them. So we need to reflect when we fail and learn. Now it's easy when the mind has set a clear path, that when things don't go exactly the way we expect, we become frustrated and we say that this is wrong. But this is very arrogant, because our mind could never in a million years project every single possibility that the universe could offer. And it's very arrogant to think that we ever could do this or that we could know better. So the idea we have of how things should go, it's probably 1 in 7 billion. If you have 7 billion people, 7 billion people will have a different idea of what should happen next. And if we think that we're smarter than the universe and we know exactly how things are supposed to be, then yeah, it's a pretty arrogant attitude. And also an attitude that doesn't allow for any kind of flow with life. But if you approach any kind of seeming obstacles with a flexible mindset and understanding that we don't have to force the world into a certain form, but rather when perceived obstacles occur, we just flow around them, we choose another path, we use them in our advantage, we don't try necessarily to always fight them or break a wall if it's in our way, we rather just go around it. So as Bruce Lee said it, flow like water, my friend. Become aware of self-doubt, fear of failure, criticism, and do not let that steer you away from your goal. This is completely normal that some kind of emotions like this will happen through your path. And this is just the mind's way to try to steer away. into chasing again somebody else's goal. Just be aware of these feelings. They're completely normal and they will occur from time to time. Let them come and let them leave, because they will leave. The only way any thought will actually live is if you give it some attention. No thought will ever exist or live for a long time if you do not give it any attention. And that's actually the trick to the question I asked you earlier here, if you can keep your mind completely empty for a few minutes. So as we talked about these negative emotions, you should also learn to embrace criticism. Many people will be there to teach you, but if you can't take any criticism, it will not serve you well. You need outside opinions as well. You need people to speak up. You need people to tell you when you're wrong. It will all be good for you if you can just embrace it and listen and learn from it. Now, every opinion you hear from the outside will not be beneficial for you. So you need also to take things with a grain of salt, but it doesn't mean that you have to become angry when somebody criticizes you. Just relax, put your ego to the side, listen to what people have to say, reflect. If you feel it's correct, you take it in. If you feel it's not beneficial for you, you put it away. And that's the way to do it, not to become angry when somebody critiques you. It will be beneficial for you to get outside critique, so start embracing it. And surround yourself with support. Build a network of like-minded, supportive individuals. It will help greatly. I think this community serves you well in that way. There's a lot of people here who have similar goals to you. And if you write your goals down here, I think some people might have similar goals. Who knows, maybe you end up setting up a studio together. Maybe you end up doing guest spots with each other. Who knows? But use this community to your advantage as well and create friendships, create study groups, whatever you want. And if you have the chance, try to create also offline communities where you have somebody that you can actually lean on and you can talk to. If not possible, then this community will also serve you well. And as said, love the journey. Make sure you're following the right goal, because then you will enjoy every step of the moment. Yes, even the seemingly negative moments when you feel like some obstacles are in your way and you flow around, or the negative emotions when things don't go exactly as you want them to go, but then you learn from it and you realize it was actually necessary, because now you're way ahead of where you were before you faced this difficulty. So focus on enjoying the journey rather than just the end goal, because it's not worth smiling just at one moment in time. Rather, enjoy every step of it. So now if you have set up your clear goals, you know what you want to achieve, and you know it's a goal that you really want to achieve for yourself, something that sets your entire soul on fire, something that creates passion and drive, then start taking clear intention and action. It's not enough just to visualize and getting these positive emotions. You need to take a few steps here and there as well. So setting clear intentions of what you want to achieve, and then you take actions in order to achieve this. But remember that the actions that you first think you need to take, they might change depending on each situation. So don't predetermine the exact path. This is kind of, again, to return to the GPS example. If you're setting out to a certain destination, but then your GPS shows that, hey, this road is blocked or it's full of traffic, you're gonna navigate to another road. And that's fine, because your end goal is still the same. It's just another route to achieve it. And be fully present when you're trying to learn something. Don't fuck around mindlessly, because there's so many people who just say, I want to learn something, but they're not actively there. They're scribbling something, playing with their phone, watching TikTok at the same time. This is not going to serve you well. You're pretty much not going to achieve a lot in your life, probably. You will get much more out of things when you are fully present and you have clear intentions. And as I already said, celebrate the small wins. It really means a lot. So kind of learn to be happy for everything good that happens in your life. There's also nothing wrong with sharing your success with the community and spreading some positivity and motivation. Now, if somebody feels very jealous because you're feeling positive, it's their problem. You don't have to be ashamed of achieving something or being happy about something. This should be something that's celebrated. This should be something that other people also celebrate, that other people are succeeding and having a good time. We should not be jealous of people actually succeeding and people following their dreams and people being happy. It's a very narrow mindset to be jealous of people who have something good in their life. Unfortunately, I see it quite a lot, and I feel very sorry for the individuals that feel this way. And I hope with this community that we can change a lot of mindsets that are focused on negativity and focused on everything that everybody else is doing and everybody else is doing wrong or right and just judgmental. So I hope we can change some of those mindsets. If not, it's fine too. But if we can change some mindsets, it's nice. And I would rather say that having a mindset of love and acceptance, it goes a lot longer than putting your energy into focusing what other people think of you, or how other people act, or judging other people, or even this petty thing of talking bad about other people behind their back. So I would recommend, if these are tendencies you recognize in yourself, that you try to narrow them down a little bit, because they're going to be huge blocking paths in your journey of trying to achieve what you want. So don't focus your energy and your efforts in the wrong direction. Simply have a clear mind, a very, very clear direction, clear intention, and be happy about the small wins. It will go a very long way. And don't put energy in the wrong things. Don't put energy into focusing on other people. Don't put energy into talking bad about people. Don't put energy into being jealous about people. It's way better to feel positive for other people. There's nothing that's being taken away from you if somebody else succeeds. In conclusion, find what's right for you. Try to keep a positive mindset. Be open in flowing around. Don't set a clear path that this is exactly how things are supposed to go for me to achieve the goal. You can still have the goal as a guiding end result, but be open to flowing depending on situations that come up. Focus on having a growth-oriented mindset. Focus on letting go of all the ideas that hold you back, all the psychological walls that have been built up throughout time. Focus on letting go on any expectations that society or your family or your friends have. Do not have to do things in order just to please their minds. If you're on the right path and you really love what you're doing, then you're going to be persistent, you're going to be resilient, and you're going to be continuously learning. And it's not even going to feel like a big effort. So for homework, take time to figure out what your goal would be. And remember to ask why and reflect on it, because we do not want to go chasing stupid goals such as 100,000 euros. We want to make sure that we're going down a path of a goal that sets our soul on fire, and money, soul is never going to do that. So find something that you really enjoy. Visualizing achieving your goal as if you would already have achieved it. Does it make you feel happy? If no, then you should not waste 1 second following this path. So after you do number 1, definitely do visualize the moment you would be achieving this specific goal, and do feel what kind of emotions it brings. If it has any kind of negativity or a feeling of claustrophobia or anything else, then it's probably not your goal. And if you feel like it, I understand these are quite personal things, but if you feel like it, you could share it with the community as well. I think it would be a very good idea, but I understand that not everybody is very open and you're feeling like people are judging. It's okay, you don't have to put yourself out there, but I definitely want this community to be supportive. So if there are people who are clearly not supportive or trying to put other people down or jealous, then I will have a talk with them or just kick them out of the community. It's completely fine for me, because I don't see any point in having people like that hanging around. Putting your goal out there like publicly, it can feel scary, but it's also a way to show that you accept that you're okay with pursuing your goal. If you share it with the community, then write it in present form as if it would already have happened. I recommend trying this exercise out, and if you don't want to do it publicly, write it on paper, but write it as if it would already have happened. There's some magical click there that happens. So for those of you who want, try it out. Thank you guys, and I'll see you probably next week again. Ciao.